Okay, today we are going to discuss the third chapter, that is Kondiba, a hero. It's a new chapter. So it's a beautiful story of a man who became blind because of a sickness by the name smallpox. So I hope you will be really interested to learn from this chapter. The chapter name is Kondiba, a hero. Third chapter, Kondiba, a hero. Please follow what I am reading. Okay. I'm sure you will agree that we all face difficulties and problems. How do you deal with them? Do you feel defeated and frustrated? Or you consider various possibilities and try to find solutions? There are some people who, in spite of their own difficulties, are able to understand others' problems and are ready to help them. Such people are real heroes. So here it says, I'm sure you will agree that we all face difficulties and problems. So we all face difficulties and problems. There is nobody in this year who does not have any problems. Sometimes we often look upon other people and say that he or she does not have any problem, but that is not the reality. Every person has problems of their own. But often for when they pose for a photo, they may smile and they will always show their happy face. So we often are tempted to think that the people around us are all happy, only it is me who is sad, but that is not the case. It is only for the photo they are smiling, but in their heart they could be crying. So people around us have problems and difficulties. Now the concern is, how are you going to deal with your problems? How are you going to deal with your problems? Do you feel defeated and frustrated? So when you're facing a problem, how do you feel? Do you feel defeated or do you feel frustrated? Or you consider various possibilities and find solutions? Now the concern is, certain people when they have a problem, what they do, they just feel like, okay, I'm defeated. I won't be able to do anything more. So they just don't do anything. But that's not the way. We should find an alternate solution. We should find other possible ways. There are some people who, in spite of their own difficulties, are able to understand others' problems and are ready to help them. So, who are there? Yeah, there are certain peoples who they were having a lot of problems of their own. They were having a lot of problems of their own. But even though they were having problems, in spite of their difficulties, they were able to bring solutions to other people's problems. Okay, though they were having problems for themselves, still also they were able to find solutions for others or other people. Such people are called the real heroes. So these the kind of people are called the real heroes. Sometimes we often tend to think, okay, these glamorous people are the heroes and heroines. No, they are not the one. Okay, so the real heroes are the people who, though they are having problems of their own, still they are able to solve the other people's problems. Okay, so that is the case. Objectives: after completing this lesson, you will be able to follow the sequence in the development of a story, predict the events in a story. You should be able to use phrasal verbs, use verbs in the past tense and the past perfect tense accurately, describe the different attributes of a person, recognize your feelings and emotions, relate to the feelings of differently abled people and find ways to support them, critically analyze a situation and take a decision, and you should be able to narrate a narrative piece. Let us read the text. Before you read, think, what is your first reaction on seeing a differently abled person? So, how do you react when you see a differently abled person? Who are the differently abled people? Yeah, could be the blind, could be the lame, could be the mute. So, they are not to be called as blind or mute or deaf. We have to be called them differently abled people. We have to call them what? Differently abled people. So, how do you react? Do you feel sympathetic for them, or how do you react on once you see a differently abled person. Question number two, do you think that differently abled people can be self-reliant and economically independent? So do you think that differently abled people can self-reliant mean rely on themselves for maybe for cooking food, for traveling from one place to another, for going to toilet, can they rely upon themselves? Okay, and can they be economically independent? So do you think these people have to live under the grace of somebody else, or can they live independently? That means, can they live by themselves? Like, do they need to beg all through their life? When as soon as you saw a person who is lame or mute or blind, we tend to think, okay, now he has to beg throughout his lifetime to earn his livelihood. Is it true, or can they be economically independent? Can they live by themselves? What is the general attitude of society towards differently abled people? So how do the society react, or how do the society talk about differently abled people? Next question, these are the questions that you need to read and think. What are the different ways in which differently abled people contribute to our society? Do the differently abled people make any contributions to our society? Do you think these differently abled people are able to make any contributions to our society? If so, in what ways they are making contributions to our society? Next question. What can society and the government do to make their contribution even better and bigger? So what can society and the government do to make their contribution even better and bigger? As I told you, this is a very beautiful story. You will be really interested to listen this story. So let's go ahead and look upon the story. So before we move into the story, we would be looking upon some of the difficult words. I want you to give your undivided attention to the words that we are going to talk right now, so that it will help you in the story. As you read the story, you will find these words. So once you know the meaning of these words, you will be able to properly put the words, or properly able to understand what the word means in the given context. So I want you to give your undivided attention to the words that we are going to look upon right now. Differently abled people, who are they? These people are those who have lost a body part, or okay, these people, who are these differently abled people? These people would have lost their body part, or whose sense organs do not function. Our sense organs, right? Their sense organs do not function, or who have some deficiency in nervous or a mental process. So all these people comes under differently abled. Who are they? They would have lost a body part, or they would have lost their sense organs may not be functioning properly. They may have deficiency in their nerve or in mental processes. All these people comes under differently abled. Now, next word, famine. Okay, you can also pronounce it famine. Okay, famine or famine. A time when there is very little food in a region. So, what is famine or famine? A time when there is very little food in a particular region. So, in a particular region, if the food availability is very less, that is called as a famine. So, when there is a very little availability of food at a particular region, that is called as a famine. Next is smallpox. What is smallpox? A serious, often fatal disease causing a high fever and leaving permanent marks on the skin. So, what is smallpox? A smallpox is a serious and often fatal disease. So, smallpox is what? It's a serious and it's often a fatal. Fatal means a deadly disease causing high fever and leaving permanent marks on the skin. So if somebody is affected with a smallpox, so there could be permanent marks on the skin. There could be what? There could be permanent marks on the skin. Gradually means slowly. Easy one. Gradually means slowly. Weeds. What do you mean by weeds? Unwanted wild plants. What are weeds? Unwanted wild plants. Okay, unwanted wild plants are called as weeds. Gunny bag. What is a gunny bag? A bag made from rough jute cloth. It's an ordinary bag used by poor people. So what is a gunny bag? Bag made from rough jute cloth. Startled. Startled means surprised. Startled means what? Surprised. Shocked due to a sudden noise. So startled means surprised or shocked due to a sudden noise. Paddle. Paddle. What do you mean by paddle? Walk with bare feet in shallow water. So what do you mean by paddle? Walk with bare feet in shallow water. Drive. What do you mean by drive? Jump head first into water. So when you are putting your head first into water and diving into it is called diving. Yeah, diving or drive it says. Okay. Now, this is a beautiful story. It's a beautiful story of a man by the name Kondiba. He became a blind person at the age of 6. Let's see the story and let's listen it properly. Let us read the story of Kondiba, who is visually challenged. We are going to study about a person by the name Kondiba, who is visually challenged. Let us find out what he does that makes him a hero and helps him to become economically independent. So let us find out what he does that makes him a hero that helps him to become economically independent. So that is the story we are going to study about. So what are we going to discuss and what are we going to learn from the story? Yeah, from the story, we will understand how this man by the name Kondiba Gaekwad could become economically independent. How this man by the name Kondiba Gaekwad could become economically independent. That is what we are going to discuss. Kondiba Gaekwad hated begging. What Kondiba Gaekwad hated? Begging. But the famine in Maharashtra in 1972 to 1973 had driven him from his home in Aurangabad to Mumbai in search of food. So Kondiba Gaekwad hated begging. He never liked begging. He never wanted to beg to people. He never wanted to ask people money or things. He was a man who hated begging. But what happened? But the famine, you understood the word famine, right? Yeah, there was lack of food in Maharashtra on the year 1972 to 1973. And because of that, he had to go from Aurangabad, or he has to leave his own place, Aurangabad, and has to come to the place called Mumbai. Why? In search of bread or in search of job or things like that. So Kondiba Gaekwad hated begging, but the famine in Maharashtra in 1972 to 1973 had driven him from his home to Aurangabad to Mumbai in search of bread. At first, he had tried selling brooms. At first, what did Kondiba do? Kondiba do? At first, what did Kondiba try to do? He tried to sell brooms. Unfortunately, he had little luck selling his goods. Even though he was trying to sell the brooms, he was not successful in selling brooms. Even though he was trying to sell brooms, he was not successful in selling brooms. He soon learned that who soon learned that Kondiva soon learned that Mumbai is generous to beggars. Which place is generous to beggars? Mumbai. You need to understand Mumbai is a crowded city, not like Aurangabad. Mumbai is a crowded city where lots and lots of people come there for job, do some job, earn their livelihood, just go on. So Mumbai is a city like that. So Kondiba Gaekwad soon learned that Mumbai is generous to beggars, especially blind beggars. Especially what? Blind beggars. And 25-year-old Kondiba was blind. So 25-year-old Kondiba was blind. Now, how did he become blind? He had become blind with a smallpox at the age of 8. So how did Kondiba become blind? He became blind by smallpox at the age of 8. Now, one thing that you need to understand, often when people try to do some job, other people don't help them. See, Kondiba was trying to sell brooms, but nobody was there to buy brooms from him. And that is one of the reasons why so many people go to bad activities. Why? Because when they try to do some good thing, people are there not to appreciate them. People are there not to encourage them, and because of that, they tend to go in the bad ways. So it is our responsibility to encourage people when they try to do some job. Often it says we see people try to sell something on the street or do things like that. So we have to appreciate them. We should be able to, provide their livelihood if we can by buying things from them rather than pushing them to do some things that are not appropriate. Sometimes these people, they tend to do something good and people don't appreciate them. They will go ahead and sell some drugs or cigarettes or something, and there are people to buy it, and people are often sent into bad ways because of the inactivity from the good people. So that is one thing that you need to understand. So often people are tempted to go in the wrong path because in the right path they are not being appreciated. Okay, next para. It was a cloudy day in Golibar, the large slum colony in Katkapur, northeast of Mumbai. It was what? It was a cloudy day in Golibar. It was a cloudy day in where? At Golibar. Where was it? The large slum colony in Katkapur, northeast of Mumbai. The place is where? It is in the northeast of Mumbai. Kondiba lived here with Tukaram and Tukaram's wife. Kondiba lived with whom? Kondiba lived here with Tukaram and Tukaram's wife, Yelenbai. Tukaram and Tukaram's wife, Yelenbai. It was the end of the monsoon. What season was it? It was the end of the monsoon season. And at least today we don't have any particular season, right? Maybe some years back, the year 1970s and all, you have different seasons. You have the winter season, you have the summer season, you have the autumn season. So you have different seasons. Nowadays we don't have any particular season. We only have either the rainy season or the summer season. Because of the climate changes, it's happening. We have made a lot of roads, we had cut down all the trees, we put a lot of buildings, so seasons are also changing. We are not having enough seasons right now. In the middle of an open area in the colony, there was a well. So what is there in the middle of an open area? In the colony, there was a well. It was full of blackish green water. The colony was having a well, and the well was full of blackish green water. Nothing could be seen more than a few centimeters below the surface. So nothing could be seen more than a few centimeters below the surface. So what was there? In the middle of an open area in the colony, there was a well. So we are talking about Kondiba. Kondiba lived in a slum. Kondiba. It was living in a place called Golibar, the large slum colony in Gadkapur, northeast of Mumbai. He lived with Tukaram and Tukaram's wife Yelenbai, and it was the end of a monsoon season. And in the middle of an open area, the colony lived there, and there was a well. So in the middle of an open area, there was a well, and the well had there was a well, and the well was having a blackish green water, which means dirty water, and nothing could be seen more than a few centimeters below the surface. What you need to understand is, if there is a colony, there would be a lot of people living together, and there won't be sufficient water available. So because of that, only people dug this well, and even after digging this well, the government, it seems like, haven't taken care of the well properly. That's why it was full of blackish green water, and people were drinking water from this well. But the water was full of dirt, and nothing could be seen few centimeters below the surface. That means it was full of dirt. In Meghalaya, there's a river which, if it is at a proper time, you could see everything under it. What does it show? It shows how pure the water is. But here the water is so impure that you cannot even see what's down inside. Okay, that's enough for today. We will see the next portion for the next class.